Okay, this is to tarot developments. I don't know what number. Today's the 7th, I think, of December 2018. I haven't done anything for a while because I've been thinking about how to instead of just I could have just made tarot videos, but I'd kind of like to expand the audience for the tarot and involve people who would never think of using the tarot because it's so useful, and it's a way of anybody finding out what they really think or what they really want, because a lot of what we do is somebody told us we ought to, or we were brought up to believe certain things, or we think we ought to do this, or we'll go to hell if we don't, that kind of thing. But I think a lot of we can bring about improvements in our lives and in the lives of the people we care about if we begin to do what we're supposed to do. And I think the tarot was the ideal method for getting an idea of what we're supposed to do. And if we follow it, life flows. It doesn't mean everything will be easy, but it does mean that you'll develop in the ways that you're meant to develop, that produce benefits for you and results for you. So I'm kind of ready soon to present some information to the world about how we might go about this and how we can benefit from the tarot and what it offers and what it shows. So I'll be doing that quite soon. But in the meantime, I wanted to do a tarot-related one. And so I've got my trusty visual aid here. One is a nickel. No, it's a dime. It's 10 cents, what they call a dime. So in itself, you can look at that 10 cents and it's nothing. It doesn't mean anything. However, and if you're saving up to buy a car or saving up to buy a house, this 10 cents is not going to make any difference at all. So it's kind of useless, actually. But let's say you want to attach a camera to a tripod using this thing, and you turn the screw here, and this little thing attaches to the underneath of the camera. And it's very hard. Maybe it's difficult to turn this, right? But you get a nickel like this, and there's a little groove here. You can use it to turn, and this nickel is like a mini screwdriver, and it's really, really useful. So, is a nickel useful or not? It depends on the context. It depends what you're going to use it for. And I think it's the same with cards in a way, because it's easy to look at a card and think it's good or it's bad, right? So the devil is a bad card, or it shows bad situations or problems or difficulties. That's the kind of meaning that you read in a book. And it kind of makes sense. You can automatically see the devil and think, oh no, not the devil. And that's maybe a normal reaction to seeing the devil. So if the question is, should I go out and get drunk tonight? And you pick a card and you get the devil, the answer is probably no. You're asking for trouble if that's what's going to happen if you get drunk tonight. However, let's say somebody says, I can't settle. I can't do it. I'm procrastinating, but I really cannot make up my mind about what to do. And think, okay, then what? And you turn the card and you get the devil. This means you can't settle, but with the devil, because the man and the woman have chains around their neck. There's the picture, right? Chains around their neck. So they can't run away, they can't move. So the fact that you're going to be stuck in the same spot and have to do something, the devil is a good card. Again, it depends on the question it was asked, and it depends on the context. But I think that's important to understand, that instead of thinking or having a preconceived idea about whether a card is good or bad, you can't do that. Or if you do that, sometimes you'll be right, but a lot of the time you'll be wrong. So instead of doing that, look at what's going on in the card and relate it to the question. And this is yet again why there's really not much point in picking a card a day and trying to figure out what it means unless you've got a question, because the context makes all the difference. There's my little dime. Is it useful or not? Depends on the context. Okay, so I was thinking about this good and bad card and relating it back to the Celtic Cross. So the first card in the Celtic Cross shows the atmosphere, and then the second card is the opposing force, it's called. And people want an idea, okay, is the opposing force a good card or a bad card? Is it a good influence or a bad influence? How do you incorporate the idea of an obstacle into the reading? So here's something for you to consider. Card 1, the first card is the atmosphere surrounding the question, and the atmosphere can be good or bad. Just like the weather can be good or bad, or pleasant or unpleasant. But it's important to remember the question. So if the first card is good, let's say good, then the second card shows what gets in the way. It's the obstacle. But if the first card showing the atmosphere is bad, then card 2, the opposing force, is like the solution to the problem shown by the first card, or it's maybe the antidote. It's the kind of thing that you ought to do, or that if you do it, it's going to make the difficulties in the beginning less difficult, or it's going to make them go away, or it's going to change them so that you can handle them. So let's say somebody wants to know, will I get the job? And you pick a card, or you're doing a Celtic Cross to understand, will they get the job? Is it going to be a good job interview, and will they be happy if they actually get the job? Or is it going to turn bad, and they'll decide that it was a bad move in the first place? Questions like that. So will I get the job? Let's say the first card is the sun, and there is the sun. So we can look at it and we're quite justified in saying this is a card of happy times. Right? So the atmosphere surrounding the question about getting the job, it's happy, you're optimistic, you're confident, you think it's going to be a good idea, and so on. But the second card, the opposing force, is if it's the devil, showing the man and woman with the chains around their neck and they can't really move, and this devil creature controls the situation. So if you're optimistic about getting the job and you want this particular job because of the sun, then what do we do with the devil? So it's the obstacle. So if you think, okay, from the devil, because the man and woman are chained, if you think that your life is out of your control and in the hands of other people, it's going to make you weak and too passive. So it's going to go against you in the interview. Because on the one hand, you're confident, but at the same time, you believe that you don't make the decisions. And that's how you begin the reading about the getting the job in a Celtic Cross spread. It's going to take, there are other cards, and it's going to take a little bit of time to develop the answer. And recently, Magnus Carlsen played Fabio Caruana, I think his name is, the Italian-American or American, in the World Chess Championship. And you can look at a Celtic Cross as like a chess game. So you in the beginning of a chess game, you establish, ideally, control of the centerpieces, and then there's the middle game, and then there's the end game. And maybe with a Celtic Cross, you look on it, the first card and the second card begin the answer. And then you've got the middle game, or you've got the other cards that will take you maybe in the same direction as the first two cards, or maybe they're going to give you things that will get in the way, or that will take you in a different direction than is shown by the first couple of cards. So I'm saying this because with a Celtic Cross, it takes time to develop the answer. You can't just turn a card and answer the whole thing. Okay, so let's say, will I get the job? And you've got the sun opposed by the devil. It looks good, but don't let your beliefs about how life works get in the way of your optimism. So if it's the other way around and card 1 is the devil, so we're not saying this is good or this is bad. We're looking at the picture and seeing the man and the woman chained, and we're saying, you want to know you're going to get the job. The atmosphere is one where you are in a subordinate position. You don't have much freedom of movement. So it's the interviewer or the boss who has the power, and you, because you're the smaller individual, you're subordinate. And at the same time, because the devil is the atmosphere surrounding the question, it may be that the atmosphere of the interview is going to be harsh. Maybe it's that everybody feels trapped. If the company is going through a difficult time and they're thinking, okay, we're going to get some new people in, but it's not going to make any difference because we're doomed. There can be a sense of negativity about the interview and the company. Maybe it's a big company and they're going to have to close a plant. And so, yes, the headquarters will still be there, but we're going to have to put 800 people out of work. And maybe that's the atmosphere shown by the devil, that the bigger economy is controlling the particular company. So if the first card is the devil, you're subordinate. But if the second card is the sun, that can be the antidote to the negativity shown, or the awkwardness or the difficulty shown by the devil card. So again, I think we have to think about the question and look at the cards that come up and not jump to conclusions, but let ourselves look at the activity in the card and make sense of it and see in what way it answers the question, and be willing to take time to develop an answer. You don't just make one chess move and you've won. It takes time to work out the whole game. So with the devil and then the sun as the opposing force, that's kind of the antidote. So take sunshine into the room with you. Go in with confidence and optimism. And it can be that if you do get the job, it's because you were optimistic and the interviewer recognized you would be a good person to have in this company because you've got good ideas, or you're youthful, you're enthusiastic, you're sunshine-like. So we'll give you the job because we think you'll add something to the company. That's why they want you. So we've got the first card is the atmosphere. The second card, it can be the obstacle. And you can wonder, somebody might think, if you've got the sun as the obstacle, how can the sun that's good be an obstacle? And let's say the question is a student who slacks off a lot. And the sun represents having a good time. Then we can see that sometimes taking it easy and having a good time, that can get in the way. That can be the obstacle. So instead of starting with the sun, it's good or it's good. So how can something that's good be an obstacle? You don't do that. You think about the question. You look at the nature of the card, what it shows, what it promises. And then relate that to the question that was asked. So you have to think it through to know if a card is, quote, or unquote, good or bad. So I think I'm just going to stop now. Anyway, I mentioned before about if I can expand the tarot to incorporate people who would never think of using the tarot. That's part of what I'm doing. So I've got this other channel site, and I've got I've registered the domain, and it's called Do New Things, and it's all about doing new things. So I'll be back in a bit with a tarot video, and I'll tell you more about doing new things. But I think I'm going to do some live streaming. I've been looking at YouTube, how to set it up and use OBS. I just don't know quite how I'm going to deal with comments or questions that come in, because I've got to set the screen to see them. And anyway, I'll tell you about it here on YouTube, but also I'll put it on Facebook, and we'll take it from there. And I can always use the phone, I can always have a live stream and be actually talking on the phone. Okay, that's it for the moment. I'm rambling. And if you have comments, I haven't been answering comments, but I will. So thanks for watching. And if you have comments or questions, leave them down below. And I'll see you in a bit. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.